Today we're going to look at International Baccalaureate or IB scoring. And we're just going to give a broad overview of IB scoring today. So your learning targets are how I can explain how IB scoring works and why WJH uses it. And I can find the resources I need when I have questions about IB scoring. So IB scoring is, rather than using letter grades and percentages, we're going to share feedback about student learning and progress in the form of standard IB International Baccalaureate scores. These scores are seen by colleges, by educators as being more accurate. The scores are based on learning, not on other factors like compliance or behavior. We are going to be really consistent in the way that we score. Teachers, students, and parents should understand exactly how students will be assessed through the use of our rubrics. And these scores should be really meaningful. So scores should communicate understanding or what a student has learned, as well as identifying areas of strength and growth. In each subject area, students will have 4 criteria. So these 4 criteria are across the board all over the world in IB. You'll notice that in each subject area, the criteria might look a little different, but in general, each subject area with their criterion A, that is looking at acquiring relevant knowledge, understanding, and skills. That's the content. So that's where students are kind of understanding facts and some really important skills. In every subject area, criterion B goes into developing skills and going deeper into ways of knowing and understanding. Criterion C focuses on using that knowledge to produce work and communicate. And that criterion D is about evaluating, reflecting, and putting that learning into real world context. So criterion A is where a lot of traditional scoring stops. As an IB World School, we push that scoring further. Now, scores are going to look different. Scores are not percentages. Scores are not A through F grades. Instead, IB scores are numbers. So we're going to see that students are scored on a scale of 1 through 8, and these are not averages. So a 1 does not mean like just part of an 8, right? 1 still means they're producing work, but of very limited quality. And 2 is also limited quality. 1 and 2 is where we expect students who have like no knowledge of a content area to be. 3 and 4 is growing and acceptable or good quality. 5 and 6 is really considered where students are kind of starting to master the skills. And 7 and 8 are high quality, frequently innovative students. So our goal, or our hope, is that students by the end of a course will be at about a 5 to show generally high quality work. And we will be using rubrics to focus on trends and growth. So the final score is not going to be an average. Instead, we're going to be looking at how is a student progressing? Are they going from beginning to progressing to mastering to hopefully excelling? And we expect that towards the beginning of a year, students will be scoring lower because they don't have the background necessary. But then our hope is and our goal is that students will be scoring higher towards the end of the year. So their final score won't be an average of those two. Instead, we're going to base their final score on trends and growth. A couple of other terms that you need to know as we're looking at our overview of scoring is formative and summative. So these are very common terms, but a little refresher here. Formative, remember, is forming learning. So these are shorter assignments, and formative assignments, students should get feedback. That could be through rubrics, comments. They can get feedback from self-reflection, from teacher reflection, from peer reflection, and it should be a combination of all those things. Teachers also use formative assessments to craft future assignments to see what students need before they take the summative assessment. Now, scores will generally be lower at the beginning of a unit, and also formative assessments aren't something that students should be redoing unless a teacher directs them to. Summative assessments are summarizing or showing learning. So these are longer projects or tests. These will come at the middle or later in a unit. And this is to show the teacher what you've learned in a unit. So the scores might be lower at the beginning of the year, but you will have multiple chances to show growth as you go through the year in each of the criteria. Now, a couple of scoring must-dos for teachers and for students to know. Um, you must summatively assess each criterion twice during the course. So criterion A, B, C, and D, students need to be summatively assessed on those at least 2 times. And before a summative assessment, you should formatively assess them. So there shouldn't be a surprise summative test on something students haven't gotten formative feedback on. You must also check with your mentor, collaborating teacher, or even me to see are there any subject area specific guidelines? Because a few subject areas have specific things that they need to do, criteria that need to go together. And then you also must enter formatives and summatives in Infinite Campus. Once you finish this video, then make sure you go on and do the mastery check included on the Canvas page.